Free Radio, this is Chiara Nicoletti from the 76 Berlinale. I'm glad to be with Natalie Erika James, who is here to present SACCHARINE. Welcome.
Hey.
So, first of all, what's the genesis of SACCHARINE? This is your third feature, and it feels like it is more personal for you.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. You see in the film, there's definitely a kind of family dynamic, which closely mirrored the family that I grew up in. And my parents really sat on opposite sides of the spectrum in terms of how they relate to their bodies and their relationship to food. It certainly is. You grow up with some very warped ideas in that kind of environment, and every meal feels like a bit of a kind of minefield. So I knew I always wanted to tell this story in some way, and the horror genre felt like kind of the perfect genre to take something very serious and quite heavy and very sensitive, and kind of go to extremes to bring people on a ride that makes you feel but also like entertain at the same time.
How would you describe this film? Like, is it about a woman trying to change in order to fit, trying to adapt?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say the film is about a woman who, she feels like she needs to change herself in order to be loved. And maybe she's experienced a lot of conditional love in her life. And just I guess it's very much a cautionary tale about going to extremes to kind of feel something within yourself. And that, perhaps looking externally for looking externally to fill yourself up isn't necessarily the best course of action. So she really moves from self-destruction to self-acceptance.
This question that also comes from personal experience, I think you portrayed in a very realistic way, despite the genre and all, a very painful reality. Is that about the fact that when you're not in a good place with your body and you feeling unfit, even getting thinner won't make you feel
right.
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just playing it. So
no,
that was very subtle, but it was very clear in the film.
Yeah, like in a way the external doesn't really matter, it's what's happening internally, right? And that kind of endless drive is kind of the real horror of the film, that the hungry ghost kind of externalizes. Yeah.
How did you come up with, did you blend body horror, psychological thriller and the ghost story? And how did this genre help you to develop the story, to sort of focus on this characteristic and very important issues, are real issues?
Yeah, I think I'm always looking for the how to present an emotional truth within a genre context, and for me the feeling of sitting inside of, say, an eating disorder or a certain compulsion surrounding food, absolutely feel sometimes like it's something out of your control, or that there's like an external force kind of influencing you. And so I thought it feels like a sinister presence, or like a dark passenger at times. So I felt that the kind of supernatural ghost story, drawing, from the picture of Dorian Gray, that kind of logic, I felt was like the best way to kind of, convey that sense of being trapped, or, kind of haunted, I suppose.
You started with relic, so you always chosen the horror genre, always the genre, like to deliver some content. Like, why do you think that? That genre in this way, genre films are the most effective in today's world and today's cinema to actually talk to people, even raise consciousness,
right?
Like more than very realistic, let's say.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, I think there's definitely like an element where it works on many levels, right? Like it can talk about these very real things and also exaggerate and push things to the point of being very bold or being very like impactful kind of in the way that you present an issue. It's certainly not the only effective way to do it, but it's just the way that I, have been most drawn to. And yeah, I think something to do with the idea of fear being so central to horror films. I think it's a really, if you think about the spectrum of human emotion, it's like from love to fear. And for me, like expressing our anxiety has always just been a way of probably overcoming my own kind of fears as well. So yeah, it's just a genre path that I've gone down.
When I was talking to women directors, I was doing like a round table a few years ago, and one of the things that women directors have often been asked if it was women they always wanted to portray that. If it was, so I'm asking you, like, do you feel you're portraying women mostly because it's something that you think we're often not portrayed enough, not told enough, our stories are not told enough, or something that it just happens because,
Yeah, I think it's both. I don't necessarily go into writing a project thinking, I have to, this has to be about a woman. I think just the stories that I've been exploring have just been really suited to the female experience. And, in Relic, it was so much about grief and loss and caretaking as well, which obviously traditionally has like fallen on women too, and the kind of complexity of how to take care of your family as well as like push your career and, all the things that the character struggles with. And then in this, I think just because obviously it is a universal experience to struggle with, an eating disorder or your body image, I think there tends to be a kind of emphasis on women in that space, right? And I think I was drawing a lot from my own personal experience, so it felt right to have kind of these three women as essential, as the central characters.
Thank you so much, Natalie,
thank you
for talking to us, and good luck with SACCHARINE.
Thank you.
Here at the 76 Berlinale.